Is anger actually an emotion? I'd argue actually it's not. It's not. It's grouped into a collection of emotions that we recognize and still label as emotions that I think are actually projections. Anger, animosity, and frustration. We express all of these three things, usually within relationships, when we want to fail taking responsibility for the truth of the emotion that hides below it: sadness, shame, hurt, grief. All of those things that we can't outsource to another person, those things are inherently ours. No matter what we do, we can't say that my sadness belongs to another person. But if I'm angry, they're responsible. Much easier for us to move the truth of what we're feeling into the falsehood of putting it somewhere else. Now, that usually comes because we haven't been safe as children to express authentically. We haven't learned how to, in a healthy way, express an emotion. Every emotion is provided to us by our subconscious within each event that is particularly appropriate for the event. If it's a traumatic event, we'll have sadness and fear and so forth. If it's a greater celebration, a joyous event, we'll have happiness and all those good feelings. It's all appropriate for whatever is happening at the time. But the thing is, though, when we are children and we're suffering a traumatic event, we have held in that emotion. It wasn't safe for us to express, because if we did, it got us in more trouble. We denied parts of who we were. So what happens then instead? As adults, we've learned that when we feel certain emotions, when we are triggered into those past feelings in our body that represents those held emotions, our first inclination is to say to ourselves subconsciously, it's not safe, I'm not worthy. Now, what do I do with that? Okay, well, seeing as I'm not going to be able to engage with this emotion, I'll put it somewhere else. The projection emotions: anger, frustration, animosity. What you ought to be doing is releasing an emotion, because every emotion that's provided in every event is subject purely for that event alone. It's not supposed to be held. And healthy, secure people know that. They go through life in every individual event with each emotion connected to each event, expressing that emotion, releasing it, and moving on. But we don't. We store it and push it deep into our subconscious, into our shadow, while it waits for us to acknowledge it. And whilst it's there, that traumatic event doesn't have an opportunity to finish, close off, end. So we remain in that trauma. Fight, flight, freeze, constantly. Can you remember at times you're waking up in a cold sweat? Or something has happened and you think, I'm having a really bad day and I don't know why. Your traumatic event, that loop's still open. It hasn't been completed because you haven't released the emotion that's connected to it. And it becomes especially difficult when we're triggered into a similar emotion in a current event where the previous emotion comes back up and joins it. It compounds, becomes a mountain of emotions, very hard to overcome. Now, it's a hard road forward when you've let it build up your whole life, but there's good news. When you learn how to deal with a singular emotion, you not only deal with it in that event, but you would deal with it in every event of your entire life. Because even though rationally time moves forward, for our subconscious it doesn't. And if we reference that emotion as an individual feeling, we can solve the problem throughout our entire life in one time. As we engage and relearn how to release the emotion, which we didn't learn how to do as a child, we learn that we are safe, that we are worthy. Then we can bring ourselves to that secure place that most secure people are capable of then expressing and releasing an emotion for every individual event. If you want to learn how to do that, it's possible. I've done it. I've helped many do it themselves as well through me as a life coach. It's a wonderful, a wonderful job to have, to see people brought to the place where they become the person that they always were, but haven't yet discovered.